Hola amigos, ¿qué tal? Stuart here from Spain Speaks with a Spain news update. And Spain's opposition leader, Alberto Núñez Feijóo, has got stuck into Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez today, accusing him of weakening the state. But more about that in just a moment. Firstly, a big thanks to all of the people that left comments on the last video. Lots of comments, lots of debate happening there as usual. Thanks to people that supported the channel by buying merchandise, and a big thanks to my patrons on Patreon for your ongoing support. Now, let's get into the news. And as I said, the leader of the opposition here in Spain, Mr. Núñez Feijóo, was on the front foot yesterday, accusing Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez of weakening the state after the government sacked the head of the intelligence agency here in Spain yesterday. And as we can see here, Feijóo accuses Sánchez of weakening the state by offering Esteban's head to pro-independent supporters. The leader of the PP, Alberto Núñez Feijóo, has accused the president of the government, Pedro Sánchez, of weakening the state by being absurd and offering the head of the director of the CNI, Paz Esteban, to the pro-independent supporters for their political survival. Feijóo has reacted through social networks to the dismissal of Esteban, adopted at the meeting of the Council of Ministers on Tuesday, after the controversy over the spying on pro-independence leaders by this centre and the fact that spyware was found in the mobile phones of Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez and the Minister of Defence, Margarita Robles. So some strong words from opposition leader Mr. Núñez Feijóo, and I agree with him 100%. The head of the intelligence agency was thrown under the bus by the government because they don't want to upset the political parties that make this government possible. And ironically, these are the same parties that 3 years ago were trying to destroy Spain. So, who have the government called up to replace the sacked head of intelligence? Well, as we can see here, the government appoints Robles number 2, Esperanza Castelado, as the new director of the CNI. The Council of Ministers has appointed the current Secretary of State for Defence, Esperanza Castelado, as the new director of the National Intelligence Centre, following the dismissal of Paz Esteban in the wake of the Pegasus spying scandal involving the independence movement and the government itself. It was the Minister of Defence, Margarita Robles, who announced this decision at the subsequent press conference, in which she highlighted her extensive experience and said that this appointment represents the government's recognition of the ministry's work. So Defence Minister Robles obviously thinking that she didn't need to step down as a result of this scandal, but then again, politicians in this country and many other countries are reluctant to step down. Now, with all of the spy scandals going on currently, it's a little bit difficult to work out who has been spying on whom. The central government has admitted that it was spying on Catalonian independence politicians, but who was spying on Pedro Sánchez and company? Well, as we can see here, Pegasus case, all the little crumbs lead to Morocco. The announcement yesterday that the Interior Minister's mobile phone was also infected by Pegasus, along with those of Pedro Sánchez and Margarita Robles, leads to the conclusion that whoever hired the services of the Israeli system wanted to spy on the backbone of Spain's state policies. The intrusion into the three devices took place between the end of spring and the beginning of summer 2021, at the height of the biggest diplomatic crisis with Morocco. 10,000 people entered through the Ceuta fence and swam in, protected by the passivity of the Moroccan police, in the face of Madrid's decision to secretly take in, for humanitarian reasons, the leader of the Polisario Front, Brahim Ghali, who stayed in the country from the 18th of April to the 1st of June 2021. So there we go, and as we saw in that article, the finger seems to be pointed at Morocco as the country behind the spyware that was installed in the Prime Minister and other ministers' mobile phones. Now, if you're living here in Spain, especially in the south of Spain, and you have just cleaned your pool, you might have to do it again because apparently there's another Calima on the way. As we can see here, the Met Office warns another Calima is due to hit the south of Spain later this week. AEMET, the Spanish Meteorological Office, is warning that the dreaded Calima could affect Andalusia again this week. It is predicting that the Saharan dust will arrive in the south of Spain on Thursday and continue throughout Friday. For Thursday, the region can expect some cloudy intervals but little change to the temperatures, and on Friday the situation is expected to be similar, although the maximum temperature could be a little lower. Friday will also be more windy, with strong force 7 winds in the Strait of Gibraltar, where a yellow warning will be enforced from 10 a.m. So batten down the hatches down there in Andalusia, another Calima is on the way. Now, we all know that before the pandemic, back in 2019, the biggest source of tourism in this country was from the UK. And guess what? 2 years later, Brits have again gained that top spot. Because as we can see here, British travellers return to Spain and already spend more than in 2019. The UK has regained the top position in Spain's international air traffic after being overtaken by Germany during the pandemic. Ryanair, Jet2 and EasyJet are the top carriers. British citizens are once again choosing Spain as one of their favourite destinations and have regained their pre-coronavirus rate of spending. The lack of British tourists that Spain suffered in 2020 and 2021 was due to the government's restrictions and rules related to the COVID-19 pandemic. So there we go, and it looks as though the love affair between the British and Spain is set to continue. Now let's have a look at some comments from previous videos. One here from Alan: nothing lasts forever. Sky is ditching its set-top boxes and satellite dishes in favour of a smart TV that delivers its full television service over Wi-Fi for the first time, the company has confirmed. This would mean all Brits in Spain would lose the service and channels. FreeSat is a digital satellite TV service from the BBC and ITV. However, it could soon be a pay service and no longer free. Alan, thanks for the comment, and to be honest, I had no idea that there were changes planned when it comes to satellite television here in Spain. And if what you say in your comment does happen, I imagine that there will be plenty of upset British residents here in Spain. And imagine the furore if people weren't able to watch EastEnders. There'd be a revolution in Benidorm. One here from Pulsar Play: inflation, sky-high energy prices, unemployment, espionage, permanent blackmail from his Catalan pro-independence partners, enormous public debt, but Sanchez focused on prostitution. Aesthetics is a contribution to politics or the art of doing nothing while appearing to do something. Any British or Australian interested in buying cheap a Prime Minister looking like a gigolo from movies of the 80s? And as an offer, we give them a council of ministers to make a bundle at weddings. Yeah, Pulsar, thanks for the comment, and thanks for venting your frustration at the current state of politics in this country. And you're right, the things that you mentioned in your comment are what we have to put up with living in this country. And the funny thing is that I'm sure Mr. Sanchez is confident that he's going to be re-elected at the next elections because he thinks he's doing a good job. And what's even funnier, according to the polls, is that a lot of Spaniards think that too. One here from Nicholas: hi Stuart, many thanks for your incredible commitment in keeping viewers informed. The world is in a more bizarre situation than ever. It's getting me down. I had hoped to have retired in Spain, but increasing inflation has put a damper on that. I will, however, try to get out there again this winter. Do not exhaust yourself with your broadcasting. Stay well. Yeah, Nicholas, thanks for the comment, and sorry to see that your plans to move to this country have been put on the back burner. And you're right, the world at the moment is in a pretty crazy place. High inflation, as you mentioned, a war raging in Ukraine, and numerous countries still struggling with the pandemic. So keep your chin up and try not to let these things get you down. One here from Martin: muchas gracias por el video, Stuart. Changing the vegetables around. Don't know if you have ever seen the Brit comedy sitcom. It's like something off Only Fools and Horses. Hasta pronto. Yeah, Martin, thanks for the comment, and referring to a piece of news that we saw the other day about how some people here in Spain, mainly in Andalusia, are importing fruit and vegetable from countries like Turkey, Egypt and Morocco, swapping the stickers and selling it as Spanish produce. And you're right, and it does sound like something that old Del Boy and Rodney would do in Only Fools and Horses. So buyer beware when you are shopping for fruit and veg in this country, because the tomatoes in the supermarket might not be local. And finally, one here from Danielle: hot, yes, we had 34 degrees Celsius here in Telde, Gran Canaria today. About sunscreen, my Canarian family use sunscreen when they go to the beach or a pool, but they don't burn easy. My Swedish skin burns after a few minutes on the beach without sunscreen, and after a few hours with factor 50. I burnt my head going to the supermarket 800 meters from home once. Yeah, Daniel, thanks for the comment, and thanks for pointing out just how hot and dangerous the sun can be here in Spain. And I, like you and other people with fair skin, need to be careful here in Spain when out and about in the hottest hours of the day, because it doesn't take much for this skin to frazzle, and 50 plus sunscreen is an absolute must. On that note, I'll wrap the video up. Questions and comments, please leave them in the section below. Debate the video out as you normally do. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it, thumbs down if you didn't. I'll see you in the next one. Hasta luego.